Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Hare Krishna. You can do one. Yeah. Has the offering, Tara, do you know if the offering has gone up?
Offering? I don't know. Not sure. I can ask if you want.
Oh, is that right?
I don't think so. No, they do it a bit late these days.
Let's let, you want to sing one? Why not?
Remember Prabhu Amara Jivana?
Yeah, what page is that?
174.
174. Let me give you a microphone.
Yeah, I'll finish. Give her this one. Give her this one. It's the closest one.
Okay.
Well, mind the cables. 174, right? It's going to be a bit of a different tune. You'll pick it up.
She said, yeah, it's on. The offering's been on.
Okay.
She said you can chant the Six Shastra Conference.
We'll do it after this one, yeah. She's just doing one.
Amara Jivana Sadapate Mahiko Punyaralesha
Amara Jivana Jivana Vajavakata. So you can keep singing if you want.
Vaja Vajabhakata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari 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 Sri Gaura Hari Sahi Goshta Bihari Sri Hare
Radha Giridhari John Vishnu Jagat Guru Srila Bhakti Sangha Maharaj Ki Jai. Jam Vishnupad Kula Churamani Sava Shastra Siddhantavit Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Rupanu Guru Bhagya Ki Jai.
Sriman Devashis Prabhu ki jai.
Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai.
Jai.
Prem se Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswata Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Samadvaita Vaishnava Mandali Ki Jai. Kol Kartel Ki Jai. Shri Harinama Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari. Good to see everybody after a while. I've been away for a few months, and happy to see you all. Careful. The song remains the same. We have. I met recently one fellow who was always coming every week to our temple in East London, and I just was shopping nearby there one day, and I bumped into him. Oh, I haven't seen you for a long time. I thought you'd moved away. He said, no, I haven't moved away. I said, how come we don't see you at the temple? You used to come every week. How come we don't see you at the temple? He said, you just talk about the same things all the time when we come there. You know? Just talking about Krishna all the time. And he said, so if you're going to talk about something different, maybe I'll come again. I said, sorry, we won't be talking about anything different. We will be talking about Krishna all the time, and that's all we talk about. Krishna. There was like a kind of joke article in the Evening Standard once. It said the 10 most boring jobs in London, and one of them was lyrics writer for the Hare Krishna movement. So I think, they just chant Hare Krishna all the time, like what? How boring can that be? And of course, in the 1970s, where at the end of the 1970s, when I joined the Hare Krishna movement, we were considered, ISKCON, we were considered to be a dangerous, mind-bending cult. And especially in America, they had like deprogrammers that would like kidnap you from the temple and try and make you see sense that you should forget all this mind-bending Hare Krishna stuff and come back to reality. And there was one deprogrammer, famous at that time, and he said, what they just brainwash themselves by this constant chanting of Hare Krishna, but you might as well be chanting Coca-Cola, it would be the same thing. But I can tell you that now, like from then to now, over 40 years later, now ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, they're considered, especially in the UK, they're considered to be like mainstream Hinduism. And, if that's where all the political candidates go if they want the Hindu vote, is they go to Bhaktivedanta Manor and put a garland on the Murti of Srila Prabhupada, like for wherever they're from. They don't see us as the dangerous cult anymore. They see us as the acceptable face of Hinduism. And I think although we are not actually Hindus per se, but if their idea of Hinduism is what Srila Prabhupada came to teach, then let it be Hinduism. We don't mind. If that's what they think Hinduism is, what Prabhupada came to teach, let it be Hinduism. That's very good. But anyhow, I can tell you 40 years later, still chanting Hare Krishna, and I think not gone completely crazy, but I would challenge anybody, try chanting Coca-Cola, and see how long you can do it before you do actually go completely crazy. Because the chanting of the holy name of Krishna is not a mundane sound vibration. It is transcendental sound coming from the spiritual realm, and which is non-different from Krishna himself. And although our chanting may not be that, it may be a supplication to that divine vibration to appear on our tongue, to reside in our heart. Still, it has its own spiritual efficacy, which is incalculable. And we can say that 40 years later, that it is the very thing which has sustained our spiritual life, inspired our spiritual life, and continues to do so. That transcendental sound vibration, although we are not able to vibrate the name of Krishna with our mundane tongue, still our chanting is informed by the teachings of our gurus and our predecessor gurus, going back to Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna himself, appearing in this age as his own devotee to teach us the path of devotion. From their teachings we find the purpose in the chanting of this Hare Krishna Mahamantra and the method for chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is very sublime. Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya, he himself, he only gave 8 verses of instruction, known as the Shikastakam. But those 8 verses, from there, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan and their predecessors or successors down through the ages have written volumes and volumes and volumes of spiritual literature expanding on those 8 teachings. And for us, as aspirants, as supplicants, as practitioners of sadhana bhakti, the practice of devotion, of all of those 8 teachings, the third is the most important to us, and that is Trinadapi Sunichena Torori Vastu Hishnana Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Shadahari. If you want to be qualified to chant the name of Krishna constantly, then you have to practice humility, tolerance, giving honor and respect to everyone, and not coveting or expecting any honor or respect for yourself. Excuse me. Who can do that? They can chant the name of Krishna constantly. The name of Krishna means Shuddhana, the pure name of Krishna, which is not anything from this mundane world. It is not that you can find the name of Krishna in a book and that's actually Krishna's name. Krishna's name is coming from the spiritual realm. And although it may look the same and sound the same as that which we read in the book or we hear, it is not the same. It is categorically different. Although some external similarity, there is actual categorical difference. And so, to invoke that name of Krishna, we are thinking, we are chanting the name of Krishna. But when the name of Krishna manifests himself in your heart and on your tongue, then we can say the name is then chanting you. Not that you are chanting the name is chanting you. That means he has taken control of you and is dancing on your tongue and living in your heart. But it is essential for us to practice these qualities of humility, tolerance, and honor to all. And what kind of humility in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's explanation? Humility, humble like the grass. So you can't get anything more humble than the grass. When you stand on the grass, it doesn't push back. It doesn't resist. It's nothing more humble than the grass in the straw, or the straw in the street. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur says our position is worse than the grass because the grass doesn't make any resistance, but we make resistance. Krishna wants to grace us through his holy name, but we push back. No, I've got my idea. I think it should be this way, not that way. And we push back against that divine current, resisting that. So humility like the grass means that wherever the name wants to take us, we're open to that. We're allow ourselves to be guided by that inner inspiration which comes from the divine world. And at the same time, tolerant like what? Like the tree. Tolerant like the tree. The tree has been given as the example of tolerance, because the tree, you can carve your name in the tree, it doesn't protest. You can chop off the tree's branches, it doesn't. You can even cut down the tree, and while you're cutting down the tree, it still gives you the shade of its branches and leaves, and still provides you with the fruits that are there without any protest. Tolerance. Srila Govinda Maharaj said that tolerance will give you everything in spiritual life. Most of the three qualities, tolerance is the most important. And we need to be tolerant. And really we're not tolerant. We can understand that. Just, in my own experience, and I'm sure in many of your experiences, if you drive a car, then you can understand how intolerant we are. When the man cuts you up or whatever, we're you stupid idiot, and we're very intolerant. Or, like on the tube going to work in the morning, and somebody stands on your foot. Oh, you're really ready to have a fight with that person just because they stood on your feet or whatever it is. So we find that we are very intolerant. We become upset by the most unlikely things. But we need to practice tolerance. Once when I was in Navadvip, when I was leaving, I asked Srila Govinda Maharaj, any thing you want to say to the devotees in London? And he said, yes, you tell them that they have to practice tolerance and tolerate every situation until it becomes completely intolerable. And then they must tolerate that as well. So tolerance is very difficult. Easy to say, but difficult to do. When I first came to the mission of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, the temple in London was in Bury Place, near the British Museum, and there was the temple president. His name was Hari Krishna Das, and he had like this bright red hair, and a very nice devotee actually. And he told me, when Srila Prabhupada came, there was a man who used to come to the temple, And whenever they would open the curtains and he would see the deity, he would immediately faint, like, ecstasy, faint to see the deity. And he used to come with this lady, and sometimes when the curtain would open, he would make this pose, like this, and the woman, she would like kneel in front of him like this, and she'd say, "Oh, Shah, Shah." But more often than not, he would just faint, in front of the Lord, like this. And the devotees didn't know how to deal with that. So they asked Srila Prabhupada, what should we do when this man comes and he faints in front of the deity when he sees the deity? What should we do? And Srila Prabhupada said, kick him in the head. and then he said, and if he remains in his trance, then you make your obeisances too. Because in other words, what he's saying is that now you'll see if he's tolerant. How tolerant will he be if you kick him when he's having his trance? Will he come out of that? Or will he remain in that trance? And if he remains in that trance, then maybe it's genuine. Who can say? I heard this just recently when in India, you may or may not know that there's like a sect of pseudo devotees that the men dress up as women, gopis, and they're called Shaki Beki, and they dress up like gopis, and they think just by dressing up as gopis they'll become gopis. It means Krishna's girlfriends in Vrindavan. And you see them sometimes, like ugly gopis. So anyway, we heard that one time one of Guru Maharaj's godbrothers, when he saw them like this, he approached them and told, this is nonsense. You just by dressing up as gopis that you don't become Radharani. And then he said, and when he kind of attacked them in this way, he said, then the man came out. So tolerance is actually a kind of a barometer of our progress in spiritual life, how much we have become tolerant, and then also able to honor everyone, to respect everyone. That is not so easy to do, because we have this terrible nature within us that we like to see other people fail in what they're trying to do in their life. It's part of the human condition, and it's a terrible thing. But it's what sells all these gossip magazines, that you see in the newsagents, that they're all about celebrities, and they like to build up celebrities to some kind of godlike position, and then they'll find some dirt on them and then bring them crashing down, and we all relish it. Oh yeah, I knew that was going to happen, or I thought something like that. We like to see other people fail because it kind of makes us feel better about ourselves, sadly. But it's like if you cut off everybody else's head, you look a bit taller. But it's not a very good, not a very righteous thing. Srila Maharaj used to say, we should not become drain inspectors. So rather we should try and see the good in everyone, because there is good in everyone. But we like to see the bad in everybody, because that makes us feel better about ourselves, makes us feel righteous about our own position. But if you're always got your head down the drain, you're going to come up covered in horrible things, aren't you? So the more that you look for the bad in others, the more that bad will come out in you. In the Bible, it says, the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. So, if you're always concentrating on dirty things, And your consciousness will become dirty as a result of that. Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, why, when there's a beautiful flower garland here, why are you more interested in the garbage heap over here? Why are you looking at that? Why don't you give your attention to the beautiful garden? Why do you have to look to the filthy place? We get some kind of perverse satisfaction at looking at filthy things. For whatever reason, it's a bad trait. So sometimes there used to be, there still is, but the position where, especially in a mission, in a religious mission, not everyone's going to get on with everybody else. We try to be friends with everybody, but there's always going to be that one person who just rubs you the wrong way. You just can't get on with that person for whatever reason. May not even be a reason, just something in that person that makes you feel in that way. So Saraswati Thakur, our Param Guru, he saw that, observed that in his own mission, that this happened sometimes. So he would hold a meeting of the devotees, regular meeting, it's called Ishtagoshti, where the devotees meet together and they speak about their realizations, their problems, their experiences, all these things. So during that mission, he would say, if he saw that two devotees, they kind of clashed with each other, didn't get on with each other, then he would ask each of them, say something in praise of your friend. And he would want them to say not just something superficial, but something real about that person, about their good qualities. And Guru Maharaj said they would have to dive deep into the bright side of that person to find what is good in that person. Because, as I mentioned before, and as we all know, there's goodness in everybody. But sometimes you have to dig a little deep to find that. So then, by doing that, you see the good qualities in others, and in that way, those good qualities will also come on you. Just as similarly, if you're always seeing the bad qualities in others, those same bad qualities will come in you. As Guru Maharaj said that, if you're always looking at the defects in others, be sure that those same defects will come on you. So we should try to ignore that, because where's the news there? That in the plane of exploitation, a fallen jiva was found to be exploiting. There's no news there. That's just the way of things. That's just how it is. All of us, every single one of us. But much more newsworthy, if you like, is to find the goodness in that person. And you'll see those good qualities in them will also manifest in you. So that is why and how we should give honor to others. And sometimes it's difficult to do that. In fact, none of these things are easy to do. There actually are real sadhana or a real spiritual practice to do those things, and at the same time not want any honor or respect for ourselves. That's also difficult because we all think we're worthy of respect, we're worthy of honor, but this is not the teaching of Mahaprabhu Chaitanya Dev. The more that we see our negative side, the more that attracts Krishna. Just like, when we're at school, you do that experiment in science where you get two magnets, and the plus side and the positive side, you push them together. What happens? They repel each other, don't they? But when you turn the one around, so you've got positive and negative, they come together and they stick together. So as that is in the physical world, so that is in the spiritual world. If Krishna is the supreme positive, the more that we're able to see our negative side, the more that attracts Krishna to us. The more we try to assert ourselves in front of Krishna, the more he's repelled by that. Just like sometimes if you see in India, at the time of the monsoon, when the rains stop in the night time, the fireflies come out, and you see them flying around, the little light on their rear as they're flying. It's quite beautiful to see, many of them in the sky. A beautiful sight. But in the daytime, they're also there in the daytime. But in the light of the sun, that little flashing light at the back, you can't even see it. It's not even at all significant in any way in front of the sun, because the light of the sun surpasses all other light. So in the same way, we may have some light within us, but in front of Krishna, it's insignificant. It is nothing. So trying to show off your light in front of Krishna is like a firefly trying to show its light in front of the sun. It's just foolishness, and it doesn't impress Krishna in any way whatsoever. But when we see our negative side, and we feel that attracts Krishna to us. I'm not talking about, like being, self-loathing or anything like that, But rather, real humility doesn't mean thinking less of yourself. It just means thinking about yourself less. You understand the difference? So, and we find that in the devotees, that they are always thinking for the welfare of others rather than thinking about their own position. They haven't got time for that. And if they do think about that, then they consider themselves the most unqualified. Naturally, when you come in connection with something wonderful, transcendent, infinite, when you come in genuine connection with the infinite, you must find yourself to be insignificant. And even in this world, you can understand that. Go and visit the Grand Canyon and you see how huge that is, and it makes you feel very small. Just some physical place in America. Or you see something like, Michelangelo's paintings in the Sistine Chapel. It makes you feel small in comparison to that. So in India, some of the great architecture, these temples that have been carved out of solid rock, mountains, these wonderful, beautiful temples, you feel, naturally you feel small and awed in comparison to that. It's only natural that you must feel yourself to be small and insignificant in comparison with a real connection with the infinite. So when we read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who we consider to be our Param Guru, one of the greatest gurus of our tradition, and he says, I'm more awful, more repulsive than worms in stool. I'm more fallen than Jagai and Madai. Anyone who even hears my name, all of their piety will run away from them. So when we hear that, we know that that's not true. But at the same time, we don't think that he's just posturing. This is just a posture that he's made. Oh, you've got to be humble, so this is my, explanation of humility. But it's not just a posture, that's his actual feeling, his real feeling. Then what to speak of us? And once one of our godbrothers, he asked Srila Sridhar Maharaj. So when Krishnadas Kaviraj says this, we know that it's not true about him. But what if you actually are that? If that is your position? And Guru Maharaj's reply was, do you think that he's just posing? That's just a posture that he's No, I understand that that's really what he feels. But we know, like objectively, we know that that's not true about him. But he feels that. But if you are actually that, then what? And Guru Maharaj said, oh, such feelings are coming in you. And he said, no, but I know who I am. I know that I actually am. Guru Maharaj said, oh, such feelings are coming in you. So, then when we understand that about ourselves, when we feel that about ourselves, that actually draws the attraction of Lord Krishna to us. When we feel that hopelessness, that we are nowhere, we are nothing, and that you are everything, then that actually attracts Lord Krishna to us. He is Dinabandhu, the friend of the fallen. And when we really genuinely feel ourselves to be fallen, sometimes, as devotees, we can assume this kind of arrogant posture about ourselves, that we're kind of better than everybody else, because we see things that they don't see. Our morality is above their morality, or whatever it may be. But that isn't real, actually, because rather we should think, when we see the conditioned souls who haven't realized anything about Krishna consciousness or their own self, we should think, there but by the grace of God go I. That only whatever I know better than them is only by the grace of God. And that not because I'm inherently better than anybody, but by the grace of God, some realization, some grace has come upon me that I am able to see that. But everything is only by the grace of the Lord, not by any right, not by any qualification from our side. Because if we go to the door of qualification, however qualified we may be, however many PhDs we may have, or however important our family may be in society, or whatever it may be, it's all ludicrous in front of him. It's all nothing in front of him. He's the master of the whole universe. And this universe, what is that? There it's told in the scripture that this universe is like a mustard seed in a sack of mustard seeds. So if you're walking home with a sack of mustard seeds on your shoulder and a few drop out, will you even stop to pick them up? Of course not. It is insignificant. And our universe, that means insignificant. If this universe suddenly went out, there'd be no loss at all. But still we're thinking we're very important people, that we're very, significant. No, we are not significant. And if we understand that in relation to the infinite, then, we're somewhere on the way towards a proper estimation of reality. So, all of these things, humility, tolerance, and giving honor to others, they are all meant for us as our real sadhana. Our real sadhana is that. It doesn't matter if you chant 16 rounds a day or 64 rounds a day. If you have no humility, if you are intolerant, and if you are unable to give honor and respect to others genuinely, then you will not make any progress in spiritual life, because the holy name of Krishna will never manifest on your tongue. This is a truth. This is a spiritual truth. So our real sadhana is to cultivate these things. And why sadhana means practice. Why do we have to practice these things? Because we're not humble, we're not tolerant, we're not able to honor everyone. And at the same time, we covet all kinds of honor for ourselves. So genuinely we have to try to practice these things if we're serious about spiritual life. It's not a system. It's not a method that if you do A, B, and C, you must get X, Y, and Z as the result of it. That it's guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. All rights are reserved by him. And he does not need to give anything to us. So no, I chanted Hare Krishna all my life, 40 years, 50 years, then must go back to Godhead, isn't it? No. You may not, unless he wills it. And he's not going to let you come there unless you have no other desire than his satisfaction. That's imperative. No one can go to the spiritual world if they have some other desire for themselves. Only when you are totally sold, cent% for the service of Lord Krishna, are you able to go there. And then only by his will, not by your will or by your endeavor, not by your sadhana, not by your intellect, not by anything from our side, but all rights reserved from his side. And he only accepts those who are sold out in his service. When we at the time of initiation, when we're given a new name, a spiritual name to remind us of Krishna or his associates, the name has a suffix das or dasi. And das or dasi, the actual translation, we're always telling servant, but the actual translation is slave. Das means slave. Dasi means slave girl. You will be the slave of Krishna. And slave means you have no rights from your side, everything only from the side of your master. So when we are prepared for that, then maybe we may get some entrance into the spiritual realm. Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, no risk, no gain. We all know that. We've all heard that, right? No risk, no gain. Greatest risk, greatest gain. But, Guru Maharaj said, but are you prepared for all risk and no gain? Are you prepared for that? To risk everything and get nothing at all in return for it. Are you prepared for that? If you're prepared for that, then you may have some position in the entourage of Lord Krishna. Everything for him, nothing for me. It is very difficult. Easy to say, but very difficult to actually do that. But over the years I've come to my own faith, my own conclusion in all of this, is that we are not dealing with an impersonal absolute. The impersonal absolute means you follow the rules and you get the result. But the rules are very harsh in this material world. There's no leniency for not knowing the result. Even in law, right, they say ignorance of the law is no excuse. Oh, I didn't know, Your Honor. No, it's the law. If you break the law, you'll be punished. So ignorance is no excuse. So in the same way that if you put your hand in the fire, it must burn you. It doesn't make an exception because you're a child and you don't understand. The child puts the hand in the fire, the child burns just as much as anyone else burns. It's a law of nature. And the laws of nature are cold. They don't have any leniency. They're laws. But the Supreme Absolute Krishna, he says in Bhagavad Gita, I am the cause of everything. Everything rests on me. Everything is within me. Nothing is within me. That I am the cause and maintenance of everything that be. But I am the absolute truth. But at the same time, I am friendly to you all. And this is our faith, you see, that Krishna isn't a cold, impersonal absolute. He is he is the supreme person. And person means personality. And his personality is all love. His personality is all sympathy. His personality is kindness. His personality is mercy, harmony. All of these things, that is Krishna. And so, we are all part and parcel of Krishna. We are the created living beings who have emanated from Krishna. And we are occupying this material world because of the misuse of our free will, you can say. But he hasn't locked us away and thrown away the key. Or he could, if he wanted to, just like snuff us all out, No use to me. You don't want to be my servant, okay? Finished. But he doesn't do that. He gives us a place where we can exercise our free will in whichever way we like. He says, I have given you free will, I won't again withdraw that free will. And free will means the right to do wrong. Otherwise it's not free will. Free will doesn't presuppose that you must do everything right. When Guru Maharaj uses this example, when India wanted independence from Britain, then Gandhi met with the Viceroy of India at that time, Earl Mountbatten, and Mountbatten said, we are considering giving you independence, but we think you're going to make a mess of things. You won't be able to govern yourselves. You'll make a mess of it. So we're reluctant to give independence to you. And Gandhi's reply was, you're a soldier, a freedom fighter. You understand what is the value of freedom. And freedom doesn't always mean to do the right thing. Freedom means the right to do wrong. So you may be right. Maybe we'll make a mess of governing ourselves. But we should be free to make that mess if needs be. We should be free to do wrong, to get it wrong, if needs be. Otherwise, what's the value of freedom? Mountbatten had to agree. So, the living being has free will. And that means he is free to do wrong. And therefore, here we are in the material world as a result of that. But Krishna didn't make us just to suffer in this material world. Birth, death, old age, disease, in a cycle on and on and on, ad infinitum. That's not what he created us for. He created us to live a life of love with him eternally in the spiritual world. But he's waiting for us with our free will to turn to him and submit to him. And he won't refuse. He won't refuse you. And he is more merciful than we could ever imagine. So we may think, this path of devotion is very difficult. Very difficult. How can we be 100% surrendered to Lord Krishna when we're filled with so many desires for this, that, and everything else in this material world? And although we may want freedom from the world, we find ourselves captured by the material world, addicts to this material world. Gurudev told us about a story of two sadhus walking along the bank of the river. It's very cold, there's snow and ice everywhere. And these two sadhus, they're very cold and no fixed place for them to live. Then one sadhu sees in the river a blanket floating down the river, and he thinks, if I swim out and get that blanket, we can dry it out and tonight we'll be warm with the blanket. So he jumps into the river, swims out across, grabs hold of the blanket, but hey, it's not a blanket, it's a bear. And the bear thinks, oh, he'll save me. This person who's grabbed me will save me. So the bear grabs onto him. This is like being carried away by the river. Then meanwhile, his friend on the bank, he says, just leave it. Come on, I see you can see he's struggling. Just leave it and come away. Leave the blanket, come away. And that sadhu says, oh, I'm trying to leave it, but the blanket won't leave me. So this is our position in this material world. We want to leave the material world, but the material world is not finished with us yet. It's holding on to us. Oh, don't you know there's all of these other things that, you haven't experienced yet. There's all of these responsibilities that you have in the world. Whatever you do, every move that you make, it just entangles you more in this material world. What can we do? We want to leave the material world, but the material world won't leave us. And sadly, we're also addicted to the things of this material world. The very things that give us so much pain in the material world, we can't leave them. We're like the dog sitting on the thistle. Oh, he's too lazy to move off the thistle, and we're like that, So many things in this material world, we know they cause us pain, but we're too lazy to leave them. We're too caught up in the world to leave it. So what can we do? Maybe it's hopeless, but I don't think it's hopeless, because Lord Krishna is so kind, so merciful, so wonderful, that just that we try a little bit, He'll help us. He'll show mercy to us and bring us to Him. Even, that most of the time we don't want that. We think we've got a better plan. As there used to be a joke, well, it's still a joke, I guess, that they say, if you want to make God laugh, tell Him your plans. So, we all think that we've got it figured out, that if I do this or do that, and, all these things in my life that I've got all planned out neatly, that everything's going to work out for us. But, how is that working out for everybody? Probably not quite as well as we thought. Nobody wants suffering in this material world, do they? But we can guarantee that suffering's coming. It's coming, nobody wants it, right? Everybody wants happiness. And we're all proceeding along, zippity-doo-dah. And, everything's happy, everything's great, everything's going right, and then bang, right in the middle of it all, some terrible things happens to us, isn't it? Something happens. Your car blows up, or, that something terrible happens to you that you weren't expecting. What's going on? Why is that happening to us? And somebody asked Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, people have written books about it, right? Why do bad things happen to good people, isn't it? There's books written about this. The answer is simple, actually, that these things come to us in our lives to remind us that this material world isn't our home. That if Krishna could make everything perfect here, and you'd be thinking, oh, this world is wonderful, I think I'll stick around for a while. But just when you think everything's going splendidly and it is wonderful here, something comes and smacks you right in the face, doesn't it? Something awful. Every one of us have this experience to one degree or another. It's unavoidable. And if it weren't unavoidable, then we would forget that this material world isn't our home. Only when we go home do we find our real home comfort. There's a self-help book, I think written by this woman called Louise Hay. Maybe you've heard of her. But she's written this book, and the title of, I've not read the book, so I don't really know what it says inside, but the title of the book is All Sickness is Homesickness. And that's true. That's our philosophy. We believe that all of our suffering in this material world is because we've forgotten our home, our real home. In our real home, you don't have to worry about anything, because when you're at home, everybody cares more about you than you care about yourself, isn't it? We know that, right? Even in this material world. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, this world is camp life. Means we're like camping out. When you're not at home, you have to find somewhere to find your food and your lodging and everything. So you stay in a hotel or something when you're away in a foreign land. You stay in a hotel. But while you're there in the hotel, you don't start decorating and, like making that hotel like it's your permanent home. They'd think you were crazy, wouldn't they? The hotel management would have something to say, putting up shelves and sticking pictures on the wall or whatever it is. They think this person's gone crazy. But that's what we do, isn't it? We do that. We try and make some permanent arrangement for ourselves in this material world. And that's a kind of insanity, because this isn't our home. But we're all guilty of it to one degree or another, because we're all searching for our home. So we think, well, make my home here. But it's a mistake. Our home isn't here. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, my Guru Maharaj introduced the building of temples for Lord Krishna just to cure us of this disease of homemaking. So there's a disease of trying to make a home for ourselves in this world. We can actually use our wealth and our energy to make a home for Krishna, a temple for Krishna. And we can try and live there. And that's actually our home. The temple of Krishna is our home. You can say it's like the embassy of the spiritual world. When you're in another country, if some crisis happens, you can go to your embassy. Once you're in the walls of that embassy, you have the same liberty as you have in your own country, isn't it? That's how it is. If you go to the British embassy in India, when you're in the embassy there, the laws of India don't apply to you anymore. The laws of your own country apply to you. And similarly, wherever you are, if you go to your embassy of your country. So the temple is like the embassy of the spiritual world. While we're there, the rules of the material world, they no longer apply actually. The rules of the spiritual world apply. So as much as we're able to understand that, absorb that, imbibe that within ourselves, then we'll find that we are at home here. We are at home, and all our necessities are provided for us in the spiritual sense. So we want to try to make our home there, in the plane of the infinite. Now we're running around in this material world where everything is changing at every moment. This is the one constant in the material world, is change. All the time everything is changing. Nothing remains the same. But in the spiritual world, everything there is constant. And there we'll find our real home comfort. So we're all searching for our home. When we find what is our real necessity, our inner necessity, then we'll find our home. And we'll find that our home is with Krishna. And that Krishna is our dearest friend, our greatest benefactor, our merciful guardian. And he will take us from this material world to the spiritual world. The only necessity, I believe, is that we need a little sincerity. That, Lord, please, you help me. I do not know what is right or what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. This is Arjuna's prayer to Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna, I don't know anymore. Well, I don't know what to do anymore. Whether I should fight, whether I should go to the forest, I don't know. I've lost all composure, Then I have to surrender to you, and you will have to direct me. So when we come to that position ourselves in our life, I don't know what I should do, but you know. You take charge of me. And when we surrender to Krishna, this is called Sharanagati, when we are able to surrender to Krishna, and that also is a sadhana that we have to practice. Lord Ram told to Hanuman, and when Vibhishana came to Ram, Vibhishana is Ravan's brother, he came to Ram to surrender, and all of Ram's colleagues, you can say, they all said, no, you can't trust him. He's the enemy. He's the brother of Ravana. He's a spy. You can't trust him. And Ram said, no. Whoever comes to me and once says, Lord, my Lord, I am yours, then I give him my protection and courage for all time to come. That's all that's necessary. That just once, with full sincerity, if you will say, my Lord, I am yours, the Lord will take charge of you. And he'll make all arrangements to bring you to him. That's his promise. And if we can't believe him, who will we believe? This is also Krishna's promise in Bhagavad Gita. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuro mami vaisyasi satyam te pratijani priyoshime. Give me your heart, give me your mind, become my devotee. Do everything you do as an offering to me, and surely you will come to me. This is my promise to you, Arjun, because you are priyoshime. You are dear to me. You are dear to me. And yes, he's speaking to Arjuna, but in the context of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is our proxy. He's us. He's representing us, the fallen souls. Although he's Krishna's Parshada, but he's accepting that position as the Jiva soul. And Krishna's telling him, you'll come to me because you are dear to me. And I promise you this, Arjuna. And if you can't believe me, who can you believe in this world? So yes, the path of devotion may be long and may be difficult, and we may think I'll never be able to be really qualified for that. But from our side, we fail in every respect. But from his side, he's giving everything. And I just heard this the other day for Srila Govinda Maharaj. He's telling us, he says, Krishna, I've done everything on my part. Because you are the savior of the fallen. I've done everything on my part. I'm completely fallen. And he says, and Krishna, between you and me, I'm never going to worship you. I'm always just going to be doing nonsense and doing everything. But so from your side, now you have to do your bit, which is to rescue the fallen souls. Here I am, Lord, rescue me. That's Krishna. He's saying, that's your job, Krishna. Your job is to rescue me. So, we're all in that position. And Krishna can rescue all of us and will rescue all of us. And that's why he comes as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to rescue the fallen souls. In Srila Guru Maharaj's words, the Lord's loving search for his lost servants. That's us. We're the lost servants. And he's come to search for us. But not just an ordinary search, a loving search. Because we're all part and parcel of him. He can't neglect any one of us. No man left behind. That's, the motto of the US Marines. No man left behind. But it's also Mahaprabhu's motto. No man to be left behind. No soul will be left behind. He's come to rescue everyone. All you have to do is, step up and come to the front of the queue. He's waiting for you. Waiting for every one of us. This is the teaching of our gurus. This is the teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself. So now we can end our talk here. If you can ask if they're ready for the arti. In the meantime, if anyone has a question, I can try and answer that. Okay. Yes?
Could you quote the exact prayer of Draupadi when she surrendered with both arms to Lord Krishna to rescue her?
Yeah. This is, of course, in Mahabharata. It's called the Vastraharana of Draupadi. And it is we just have a couple of minutes. So when Krishna, when Draupadi was being stripped in front of the Kuru assembly, in front of all the great grandsires of the dynasty, they're all there, and none of them made any objection. That Dushashan, he's trying to remove her sari, and Dushashan is a Maharati, and a Maharati means he has the strength of 1,000 elephants. So although Draupadi, she's a Panchali Kshatriya princess, she knows she can't fight with the man with the strength of 1,000 elephants. So he's trying to, by the order of Duryodhana, show more to humiliate the Pandavas than anyone else. He's saying, show us, let's see her naked, Duryodhana says. So Dushashan's trying to remove her cloth, and she's holding on. And when she's holding on, then she raised one arm in the air and she started calling for Krishna. She knew that her husbands aren't going to save her, that Bhishma and Drona and all of those great heroes, they're not going to save her. So then she realized, this is stupid as well. I can't, holding on. And nothing, so both arms she raised in the air. And she started calling to Krishna. But then she said, hey, Gopi Jana Balaba. And Guru Maharaj said, when Krishna heard that, the master, Lord of the Gopis, he couldn't resist. He had to come there. And he provided her with unlimited cloth. But that was her act of surrender. She threw both her arms in the air. Hey Krishna, hey Gopala, hey Gopi Jana Balaba. Gopi Jana Balaba. That's Krishna's most intimate manifestation as the master of the Gopis. And incidentally, the only real mention of the Vrindavan Leela in Mahabharata. And Guru Maharaj said that Vastraharana of Draupadi is the highest part of Mahabharata, even higher than Bhagavad Gita. Most essential thing, her surrender to Krishna. We can learn from that what it means to actually surrender to Lord Krishna. She surrendered everything. And Krishna could not. Although he wasn't physically present there, he could not neglect her prayer. He came there. All of her piety from many lives would come together and in the form of cloth to cover her. Unlimited cloth by the grace of Lord Krishna. Now we can do arti. Jai Om Vishnupad, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Sorry, did you want to ask a question?
Quick question. In the Krishna tradition, one person at a later stage in his life, he's departing. In some places like Bali, it's celebrated as of, because obviously he's going to be, well, in the best case scenario, he's going to go to Gopada. In the worst case scenario, he's going to come back and maybe in a better body.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when this week we were celebrating the departure of Prabhupada, everyone kind of sad. And I'm thinking, why?
Okay. Well, it's a twofold thing. When the Lord's devotee leaves the world, naturally there must be some feeling of separation, because we don't have that person's company anymore directly. So that must be some feeling of separation there. At the same time, there's a feeling of celebration, because that person, in this case Srila Prabhupada, not entering in, but again joining the Leela of Krishna in Vrindavan, unfettered by this world, you can say. But at the same time, it is only natural that his followers must feel some pain of separation from that. When someone is your guide for so long, and now you're bereft of that guidance, naturally you'll feel some pain in your heart for that. So it is a kind of double-edged sword. One side you're feeling joy, and one side you're feeling sorrow. This is the highest feeling of devotional mood is called Vipralamba. That means union in separation. When Krishna left the Vrindavan, 100 years he never returned to Vrindavan. The residents of Vrindavan were bereft of his personal company for 100 years. So, in this material world, in that time, then, by the departure of time, gradually the pain of that separation becomes less. But in the case of Krishna, that pain became more and more intense. We cannot understand the kind of pain that the residents of Vrindavan felt in separation from Krishna. And that was, of course, purposeful on his behalf to increase their love. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, as they say. And that's true, especially in spiritual relationships. So Vipralamba is considered to be higher than union with Krishna. Separation from Krishna is a more intense feeling of love than being united with the beloved. We can understand that. The anticipation of that meeting, of that union with the beloved, is more intense than the actual act of union, if you like. This is considered by the experts in devotion to be a higher feeling of love, union in separation, or Vipralamba. And when somebody suggested that union with Krishna was higher than separation from Krishna, our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, he said, even a goat knows what is union, but who can understand what is separation? That is a very subtle thing, a very fine thing. So we don't profess to really understand that, but we do know that in separation of our Guru, we feel that. And of course that's marked especially on the day of his separation. There must be some natural feeling of pain in that separation. And of course we know the disciple lives with the Guru by their instruction, but still, when you have the company of somebody, even in this world, that when they're not present anymore, that causes some pain in the heart. But that pain, in the spiritual sense, can be the impetus for our continued progress in spiritual life. Because our Guru Maharaj said, in the absence of my Guru, should I wish to live a peaceful life? Now, the test will come. What is your faith actually? When you're with your Guru, like our Gurudev would say, in the time of Guru Maharaj, I felt I could do anything. I can jump off the top of the bridge and Guru Maharaj will catch me. Whatever I do, good or bad, he's absorbing all of that. But now that he's gone, physically gone, now the buck stops with me. Now the question is, how real is your creed? How deep is your faith? Is it real or just superficial? Is it just lip deep, or is it really become one with your being, with your heart? The test will come. He said, just like, the swordsmith, when he's making the sword, he's beating the metal, and then he has to plunge that into the fire, and then it goes in the water, and again and again to go in the fire to temper that steel. So similarly, in the absence of our Guru, the ordeal of that separation will come to test us again and again and again. And those who pass that test, their faith will be forged like steel, indomitable, like the sword. It will become like steel, like tempered steel. So it's necessary for us. It's necessary for us in our progress in spiritual life that we were with our Guru and now we're bereft of that. Now the test will come. Is it real? Your faith real? Or it was just like, what they say, a fair weather friend. When everything's going great, everything's good, everything's fine. But in the troubled position, now what will we see is your faith. Is your faith real? And that will only be shown by some ordeal, by the fire of ordeal. Your faith will be tested. Is it real or not? And not everyone will pass that test. But those who do, their faith will be indomitable. So it is a necessary part of our spiritual progress. Vipralamba. Important. I don't know if that answers your question, but... All right. Our pujari is waiting patiently behind the curtain, I think. So.
Do we still have time for one more question? Or?
All right, go on.
I just wanted to ask, when bad things would happen to good people, as we were discussing, why does law of karma fail to protect people?
Because ultimately, it's whatever happens to you is necessary for you. So it may appear to be something bad that's happening to you. But actually, if you can see it in the right way, it'll be something to help you progress in your life. There's a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, which our Guru Maharaj liked very much, Taktenu kampam shushamikshamanu, which means that those who can continue in their life while enduring the fruit of their own karma, if they're able to do that and see in this that this has come to teach me a lesson, then they'll make real progress in life. So it's not about what happens to you, but rather how you react to what happens to you. You can choose. Something which seems to be bad in an ordinary estimation, if you can see the hand of the Lord behind that it's meant for your purification, meant for your upliftment, if you can learn the lesson that's being shown to you, if you're able to see that, then you'll make real progress in life. Our problem is because we're always trying to blame the environment, that this person or this thing or that thing it's there to blame. But actually we're to blame. Whatever happens to us is as a result of something that I've done. It's not haphazard. It's not vindictive. It's meant to teach us a lesson. And in that way, if we can see that and continue without being disturbed by that, then we'll actually make progress in life. So we can understand actually, and it's easy to say, but not so easy to do, but that there's no mistake in how the environment is dealing with us. It's actually meant for us, meant to help us in our life. And if we can see it in that way, then we will actually be benefited from that, even though externally it may seem like something bad. That's a lesson that we need to learn in our life to be able to see everything from a spiritual perspective. That nothing is vindictive, nothing is haphazard, nothing is accidental. Everything is meant to be. So wherever you are, whatever you're experiencing, if you can understand, this is the very thing that I need in my life. Sometimes it's hard to see that, especially when it's something that causes us suffering. But if we're able to see, no, actually this is what is meant for me now in my life. Nothing more or less is a necessity in my life than this very thing. If you can see it in that way, then you'll see the gracious hand of Krishna behind that. Because Krishna, there's not even an iota of vindictiveness in his nature. Nothing that happens is to punish you, it's to teach you. If you can take it in that way, then you'll understand that everything is perfect. No mistake. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's very helpful.
Okay. All right. Pujari still there? Okay. Jai. 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 Virachandra Prabhu.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda.
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jasamati Nandana Brajavadana Gokula Ranjana Kana.
Gopi Parana Dana Mahadana Manohara Kaliya Tamana Vidana.
Gopi Parana Dana Madana Manohara Kaliya Tamana Vidana.
Amala Harinam Amiya Vilasha.
Amala Harinam Amiya Vilasha.
Napura Andara Navina Nagara Mara Bhankirana Navasa.
Avipina Purandara Nabhinana Garavada Bhaktivadana Tuva.
Abhaja Jana Palana Sadulana Shana Nanda Gotana Rakola.
Raja Jana Palana Sura Hari Hari Bol.
Baba, Jet, don't.
By the time we got there, it stopped raining.
It's a blessing.
We got a bit lucky.